It's London, it's 1888, and Jack the Ripper is running the streets.
Let's go catch him. All right, so this is Whitechapel. Okay, so this is the revised edition. So we were just talking about that, how the older version was just cardboard pieces, you were saying.
Yeah.
Now they give you the tokens and stuff. So this game, Fantasy Flight, is the one that releases the game. The Fantasy Flight has a good job of usually their graphics and everything are really good. And they are. The thing that's interesting about this game is that it's historical, right? So everything has historical stuff on it. For instance, the map right here. Mm-hmm. Then over here it talks about so-and-so's death and where it occurred, and so-and-so's death here. These are all the actual people that Jack the Ripper had killed. And then, of course, the inspectors that are looking for them, who they are, and it gives a little bit of a story about each one. And even in the instruction manual, it's giving them
all
information
kinds of
like that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So it really pulls you into it. The map board, it's one of the best map boards I've seen. It's outstanding. Mm-hmm. It's very, very neat. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but it does look very, very good, and it looks very, very accurate if it is not accurate. They give you this piece that signifies, so if you're Jack the Ripper, you're basically going to have this right here, and this is going to help conceal things while you're playing so that the inspectors themselves can't see what you're doing, making your movements and so on. You'll have this tablet, piece of paper with some boxes in there that help you identify where you've moved and that type of thing. So all in all, when it comes to the pieces, they're not they don't stand out as anything great, but they're not bad in any sense either. So when it comes to it, I would just say, it's good. I mean, it's a C, it's a B. It's it's just something that it's just average, but when it comes down to the actual artwork, everything they do, it just takes it over the top.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so how to play the game. How hard or easy is it to learn this one? I'd say it's kind of in the middle. You do have to follow some rules, and there's some very specific rules that you have to follow as far as movement. Right. So you do have to understand that before you go. So this isn't a game that you can just get into and start playing, because if Jack the Ripper doesn't understand how his movements are, that he could be breaking the rules, which would break the game. Yeah. So you do need to take the time to get in this. So it's not a dive-in game, but it's not terribly complicated either.
And the thing is that most of the rules that you're going to be doing, it's very repetitive on some of the stuff that you're going to be doing, because you'll have two sections here. One's they call first part they call Hell, and it gives you basically 9 steps. This is the one that's performed 4 times during the game,
right?
And then the other part is the actual hunting portion of it, and that one goes over and over again depending on where Jack the Ripper is. So those steps become you memorize those very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So. Each person is given one of these pads that tells you each step you're supposed to take. As long as you follow this, you're pretty good to go. Jack the Ripper, whoever plays Jack the Ripper will need to know a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So they're the ones that have to probably dive into it. But when it comes to being one of the inspectors, it's fairly simple.
Okay, so let's talk about how to play the game so you can figure out if this is something that's going to work for you and your gaming group. At the beginning, you need to decide who is going to be Jack the Ripper. So this is a one versus many kind of game. So one person is going to be the bad guy, and everybody else is going to be cooperatively chasing him, right? And so Jack the Ripper is going to look out on the board, and he's going to pick one location that's going to be where his hideout is, right? And at the end of every turn, he has to make it back there. Then you're going to be able to put out these tokens on the board that represent women or places where a murder could potentially take place at. Then the lead investigator is then going to put his investigators out on the board and decide where theirs going to be. And then there's just back and forth of whether or not Jack wants to go ahead and reveal that a murder's taken place, or if he wants to wait. If he waits, then he gets to find out this information on where the investigators really are. But if he waits, then the investigators can also close in on where Jack could be killing. And then it shifts into the second phase, that is the hunt. So basically it's revealed, okay, there was a murder that took place here, and then Jack gets to run. And so Jack makes some movement. So on your little pad, you'll note, okay, I moved from here to here, and you actually write that down. So if you went from 151 to 150, you would do that, and then Jack moves a space. Now, he has some special movements that diminish as the game goes on. So at the first round, you get 3 carriages, which basically means that you can move 2 spaces. And if you do that, you have to tell them that you move 2 spaces. But moving 2 spaces on the board could be a really big deal, right? Because there's one over here where I could go from here, maybe make it all the way over here, stuff like that. The only other movement that he can do is called an alleyway. And so you put this little lamp token out. And if you do that, then it basically changes the rules. Instead of having to go from circle to circle, now he can cut across a neighborhood, which could be a very powerful move to maybe get away. But anyways, that's all that happened. So basically, Jack reveals that he moved and how he moved, if it's just a regular movement or if he used a carriage or an alleyway, and then the investigators move. And so all at the same time, basically, the investigators move in. And when they move in, then they're able to ask questions. They're able to say, okay, the investigator's here, so he says, okay, were you at 124? And then if you were, then you have to reveal, yes, I was there at some point. Or you can ask a second question, which is, I'm going to make an arrest on 122. So it's either or. You can either say, were you here before, or I'm going to arrest here.
Right.
And so you keep going and asking a question until you get an answer, and then the next person goes. And then it continues. Then Jack makes a movement, and then all the investigators move, ask questions, make an arrest. And it goes back and forth like that until one of 2 things happen. Either they catch Jack, or he makes it back to his hideout.
I thought the game historically was pretty neat.
No,
it was also kind of
creepy.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I didn't want to play Jack the Ripper.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of weird. It's like it's almost like should we be playing a game on this itself?
Yeah, totally. You put these woman tokens out. You actually put a token out that represents a woman that is going to be killed or could be killed, right?
Right, and then historically was killed. So, I mean, they have them all labeled here and where they were killed and stuff. So that honestly bothered me some. I didn't even really think about it before, but that was kind of creepy. So I'm not sure what I thought about that.
Yeah.
The game itself, that hidden movement thing is really neat. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of fun, and of course you're going after a super bad guy. So that's
right. Yeah. We got to catch this guy.
Exactly. So being the cops, then I don't have a problem playing it. But that's one thing, and also I guess something else we need to mention also. Jack the Ripper moves differently than the cops do.
Right.
So Jack the Ripper uses these circles basically. He jumps from spot to spot to spot, whereas the cops are using the streets and they're going from square to square to square. These little black squares, and that's how their movement's done. So in some locations, Jack the Ripper can jump he jumps 2 squares in some locations to do his one. So he's flying past them. And other ones is kind of 1-to-1. Mm-hmm. Some of them is none. So in different areas of the town, he may move faster or slower. So you have to be careful where you're at and know that.
Yeah, totally. So that makes the capture kind of unique, where the investigators are closing in on him. They have to think. And so it totally plays into, because the investigators can move 0, 1, or 2, it's a weird balance in this game, because I think both sides feel like the other has a better advantage. Right. Like the Jack the Ripper feels like there's all these investigators. How am I going to get away from them? But then the investigators say, well, he could go anywhere. He could go anywhere on the map. How do we know which direction he went? And so that's a cool balance between the 2 powers. Okay, so at the end of our reviews, we like to do a simple 1-die rating. Should you buy it, play it, or hate it? So green means go buy this game and add it to your collection. White means maybe you wouldn't buy it, but you definitely play it. And then red means you wouldn't buy it and you wouldn't play it because you hate it. So we're going to see what we're going to do.
This is a hard one to choose.
And
over. Okay. Okay, I will say one thing about this real quick is that I will be buying the expansion for the game in hopes that it will take it to a green. And I think it will. But okay, you want to go ahead and do your explanation of your red first, and then we'll go through it.
So I don't usually do red, right? Like I'm not a red die guy because I just like to play games. But here's the reason I gave this one a red. I think that there are hidden movement games out there that don't have this theme, right? And so.
Dracula.
It's Fury of Dracula, Spectre Ops.
Spectre Ops, yeah.
And so to me, if I'm going to get a hidden movement game, I'd get that. I'd rather play those games. I think there's a little bit more balance, more incentive to the co-op feel of some of those games. Fury of Dracula has the combat aspect to it, so it's a little bit different. So I feel like that although this is not necessarily a bad game, I just think that there are other ones I would play. And for me, I felt like I would hate if I had to play this game out to the end. All 4 rounds of this, I would not like that at all. So that's my red.
My white is, and I'm the one who bought the game originally. I really was looking forward to this game, especially after playing Dracula. I was really looking forward to this game, but didn't think a lot about it. Not until we pulled it out and seeing the murders and stuff, and that got kind of creepy a little bit. So that really did kind of take it to white at that point. The alpha gamer are able to take as much control. There's not enough individualism between the cops that they're all the same. So it's so easy for one person to take over to know where everything would move. There's no secrets among those cops at all. So it's really, to me, it's a 2-player game versus a 6 or 5-player game. So those are the things that hurt the most, was the theme and the fact that an alpha gamer could take over the game. So it's got to be a 2-player game. But when it comes to like presentation of the map and everything, they've done a great job. And the cost is fair on the game. Yeah. It's a good game, good cost value. But that's the reason I'm white for me.
All right, there we go. That's our review of Letters from Whitechapel. We got a lot more reviews on our website, boardgamecloset.com. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and like this video. Hit the thumbs up. We appreciate it so much. And
support your local hobby shop. Go get them.